Well, hello, everybody. I hope you're having an amazing day. We're so glad you're here with us tonight. For those of you that I have not met, my name is Kurt Beavers, and we are going to talk a little bit tonight about momentum. And this is the second event of five major events we're doing this year that are a part of a group of us that made a commitment to make 2025 our best year ever. And if you weren't with us in some of the stuff we did during the first quarter, that's great. You've still got 9 amazing months left to make 2025 your best year ever. And we break it down into some components. But the main thing is for you to look ahead to December 31, 2025, and picture what a successful year would look like for you, so that when you look back 9 months from now, we're celebrating that victorious, amazing year you've had. So lots of things are going to happen. This is our second big event, like I said, and we want to welcome everybody back from a little bit of a hiatus. We haven't been together totally as a group, and we've got a lot of friends we invited to join us tonight because we felt like whether you were a part of the Best Year Ever program that we're running together with all kind of tools and resources, which I'll explain, or you're just at a place in your life where momentum is important. You know it's important. And I'd like to say there's probably three different types of people that are joining us tonight. Maybe you are someone who's never been able to effectively establish momentum. You've admired those around you that have done it. You've desired it, but you've never figured out effectively, or you've never stuck with something long enough and worked through the obstacles to really establish that momentum for yourself. So we're here for you. We're excited you're here. There's another group of you, and I think this might be a lot of us in the season that our nation and our world's gone through with leadership and COVID and the things that have happened the last several years. You may have tasted momentum and lost it. It's kind of like that shark. You know, when you bloody and you chum the water, you get that shark feeding frenzy to go crazy. And I think some of us want the momentum back that we had. Right? Raise your hand in the comments, or just let me clap your hands if you're in that category where you had momentum and you felt like,
Yeah, I'm in that category.
okay, well, let's everybody mute yourself, okay? And we're going to leave it so you can unmute yourself later. We might do some participatory things, but if you can do all your commenting in the text, and then because we're recording this, and when we're done, we'll open you up. And Trey Bowden is my partner in crime. He's running the tech show behind the scenes, and he'll try to keep everybody muted. But if you can just be conscious that if you got some kind of noise, or something's going on, just stay muted. It helps us out, okay? And then the third category is maybe you have some momentum. You feel like you're headed in the right direction. You've maybe even just the superfoods recently reestablished some momentum for you, but you want to sustain it and grow it. So maybe you've never had it, you've had it and you want it back, or you have it and you want to grow it and sustain it and get it bigger. So you probably fit into one of those categories. But that we put a link in the beginning where you can go and gather like a little workbook. It's just a PDF document. It's nothing huge or fancy. But I would like for you to work off of a model that we use in lots of business discussions. I use it with family. I use it with parenting. I use it in marriage counseling, all different kind of things. And so the three things I want you to be thinking about, you can go grab that PDF and you can have it for later. You can just think about this right now. It is being recorded and it will be available later on Facebook, YouTube, and on our website. But the three questions are, so far, if we're going to establish momentum, you're going to hear from Catherine Lee in just a minute. And I think she's going to talk to you a little bit about where you stand, so you can see what obstacles were in your way. So what went well? What were you doing that was working? You want to keep doing that and identify it. And that's in that document. And then what didn't go so well, and then what needs to change. These three questions are just so important, because if you're in that group where you have that momentum and you want to grow it and sustain it, whatever you're doing that's going well, whatever's working, you need to identify that. You need to duplicate it, replicate it, continue it, but you probably also need to teach it and have people follow you in those things that are working well. And then I know many of us are going to identify some obstacles that are keeping us from the momentum that we want. And then based on those first two questions, what needs to change? I did our monthly special training this morning, and we did it. Some of you may have joined us, and we did it on which one's a better choice, to give birth or raise the dead? And I think some of you that are without momentum right now, or you had it and you lost it and you want it back, there's some of you that you're manifesting like you got hit by something and you're under the rock and you're not sure you want to get out. I mean, I was sharing with somebody recently from Georgia, and it was a leader, and they had withdrawn for such a length of time, lost their momentum. They had withdrawn for such a length of time that they were almost embarrassed to come back and try and catch up. And, we've got a new front door. The website's new, the technology's new, and it's still evolving. There's a lot. We've got an amazing new CEO. We've got a new superfood product. We're in the cognitive health space with Luminate. All that had happened since they had last plugged in. And they were embarrassed. And I didn't find this out until just recently. They were embarrassed to come back and say, I don't know how to get in the front door anymore. I don't understand. But they wanted their momentum back, So we had fun talking about giving birth and raising the dead. And there are a lot of people that it's going to feel like you're raising the dead to help them reestablish their momentum. And then there's some amazing people that are okay, if you can mute yourself, that'd be great. There's some amazing people that are foaming at the mouth to start and launch and establish a new momentum, So in Trey, you might want to turn that where people can unmute themselves. You might want to turn that off because I know people are accidentally unmuting themselves. Okay, so those three questions, grab that PDF. I'm not going to take a lot of time for you to do that right now, but I do really want you to not just say, hey, Kurt, I've heard you mention those three questions before. Let's move on to some new stuff. I use these three questions over and over and over again. Every month, we ask these of our own business, and everybody I'm coaching has to answer these three questions because it helps you figure out where you are. You celebrate the good, you disrupt and get rid of the bad, and you make the necessary changes to be better. And if you've never done that, this is a great exercise. And if you have someone that's coaching you or you're coaching someone, I would grab these three questions and try and use them the next time you encounter that. But here we are, and I said in the beginning, one of the things we want to do is to visualize tomorrow, what tomorrow looks like. My friend Tommy Newberry, he and I wrote a book together called I Call Shotgun. It's 68 biblical principles for every dad to teach their kids before they leave home. And Tommy's a New York Times bestselling author, and he's a really good friend of mine, and we each have 3 kids. And one of my favorite things that he has taught me, a quote, there's 2. He signs all his emails. He says, Tommy, and he says, your success blesses others. So when you're successful, you're to be a steward over that success and bless others. But the one I want to share with you tonight that's powerful that he uses is he says, tomorrow changes today. That's why we felt like it was so important. We're going to say tomorrow is the end of this year. That's tomorrow in quotes. Tomorrow, the end of this year, where do you want to be? What does that tomorrow look like with your business, with your residual income, with your customers, with your promotions, with you getting wellness benefits from the company, with you getting, all the things that come with our leadership package? What does that look like? What does that tomorrow look like? Because Lori and I visualized that. We knew what we wanted. It was first to get her at home, and it was a small $1,000 a month. The second tomorrow was to make enough money and get on the company's wellness benefits package so we could get our insurance paid for. It was to get me at home and for me to join her full time. I don't care what yours is. Everybody's can be different. It may be to accumulate enough money to take an amazing family vacation. I don't know. But what your tomorrow looks like, if you visualize that clearly, you'll make the necessary changes today to own that tomorrow that you so clearly visualized, okay? So let's think about that. Within your in your workbook, and we're just setting the stage. The main speakers are coming. Within that worksheet, and we did this before, and I'd love for you to do this and catch up. What are some health and physical things that are a part of that tomorrow that you want to see? Do you have some health, nutrition, health, medical things, physical things, fitness? Maybe it's just you want to, fit in your blue jeans better. You haven't been diagnosed with a real disease, but maybe you got Dunlop's disease, and at the end of the year, you don't want your belly to Dunlop over your belt anymore. That's so funny. I love that. What's going on? I've just got some challenges. I've got a disease, and somebody says, told me they had Dunlop's disease, and I says, what is that? My belly's Dunlopped over my belt. Maybe you want to get rid of that by the end of the year. Team. Relationships. What are some goals and challenges? What could you visualize? What would you like for your team to look like 12/31/25? Do you have some relationships that have challenges right now, that need healing, that need reconciliation, that God maybe wants to be restored, but you haven't put the necessary effort forth? Maybe you're playing the blame game. Maybe you're not owning up to your peace in that relationship. Maybe there's a forgiveness element. What does that tomorrow look like? Income, business. What is the number you want your paycheck to be? What's the amount? What does it look like in terms of being easily, consistently POB qualified? Picking up the title rewards of the promotions you're going to get this year, qualifying for the trips and incentives the company's doing. I want you to write those down. Just have them visually in front of you, okay? Now, those things we talked about, they're going to change today. So also in that checklist you've got, we talk a lot about, and you're going to hear tonight from Catherine and our other speakers. Catherine's going to go first. How important. And there's a checklist in that document. It's all the same. It's all one document you can download. But in that document, the checklist, we talk about rhythm. And I think you're going to see before you get off the call tonight how important having rhythm is to having momentum. One of the people that I think has just taken this challenge on and has just been the champion of it is Rhonda Hubbard. Rhonda Hubbard consistently talks about rhythm with her team. She does things to make sure rhythm happens. She pokes the bear and makes sure that things are moving along. Dawn Rathman does it. Wendy Campbell's an amazing voice out there. Just think about the rhythms of her doing her wow is in the why, that talk that she's done over and over again for decades. Mike Ewald, Guy Debou, people that are just consistently doing things. Mick and Jenny Daly have consistently kept their website and their team calls. I can name people, but having that rhythm and checking those boxes, and these are specifically to help you hit your targets for that best year ever in 2025. Okay. So those are available for you. I wanted to make sure you knew they were there. And then I want you to think about, I want momentum to become really important to you. I want it to be important. Sometimes you might use as part of describing momentum, you might use the science term inertia. It's, what does it take to move something? What is the physical force required to move something? And I think in the beginning, when you start something new, more inertia, more force, more effort's required. The inertia to get you to pick up the phone when you know you could be rejected, when you've not done that before. That's why you do 3-way phone calls, so you have somebody with you and you learn while you earn instead of just getting your nose bloodied, That's there are ways to overcome the lack of inertia from picking up the phone, from doing the things you need to do to push the boulder, to get your business, to build that big, huge fire and get your business going. So I want you to think for a minute, can you remember a moment? It doesn't have to just be in Juice Plus. It could be in your going to the gym and lifting weights. I'm closing my eyes to think with you just for a minute. It could be you're getting up and running and jogging and putting on your shoes and your podcast and hitting the road. can you remember the first time? Maybe you got excited about doing some research and buying the shoes that were going to be the most comfortable. And then when you had to put those shoes into action, that effort hit you. When you had to start putting on those events and building your customer base in order to sustain your income while you were waiting for that momentum to take hold. And you created that residual income from a performance bonus that's the smallest part of your check in the beginning. I want you to take across all walks of life. Can you remember a moment where success was almost effortless? That's momentum. That's when there's a force behind you. There's a force within the activity you're doing that's perpetuating that motion forward. That's what we're talking about. That's when you've got so many conversations in the pipeline. You've got so many people that are minutia steps away from their next goal, target, and title reward, that you've got momentum behind you. It's wind behind your sail. That's what we all want in our business. Now, we've got 3 speakers for you tonight. Then I'm gonna come back and share with you some of my thoughts about the mindset you need to create momentum. But one of my joys in this business is meeting people that have impacted me, like in a recent moment, or people that have impacted my life over a long period of time, and building a relationship with them so that if they called me, I'd be there. And when I call them to say, would you speak to my friends and the people that are important to me, they say yes. And our first speaker is Catherine Lee. And I can tell you so much about Catherine and her amazing husband, Michael. She's a PMD plus, 100 Club plus, awesome leader on our team. She's been on the Oprah Winfrey Show a couple times. She helped Rick Warren in the purpose-driven life movement he created with that amazing book. They did a Daniel fast. She participated in some of those things. She's written a book, but most of all, she took the momentum that this business gave her, and it allowed her to follow God's calling on her life. And she started the Pure Hope Foundation. And I was privileged and just honored to be on the board of that and just watch it unfold as God gave them 1,000-acre ranch that was paid for in Texas to be a place where they could house and restore women who are victims of sex trafficking. All that happened because Catherine decided, if I build this business, I can create momentum so that it becomes self-sustaining. This business can allow me to follow my purpose and passion to its fullest. And so I want you to hear Catherine describe. She's a short message, about 6 minutes, and she's powerful in talking about unfolding, unpacking what momentum is, how you get it. And then we're going to hear from 2 more speakers, and then I'm going to wrap us up. It's, I know you guys are in the chat. Keep it going. We'll come back and see some of that later. This is actually on Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube live simultaneously. Trey and I can see all of your comments. But you can't see. If you're on Zoom, you're only seeing the Zoom comments. If you're on Facebook, you're only seeing the Facebook comments. And you have to follow that. So I think Trey has, it said that the checklist is in the handouts. And Trey, you might just check in the chat. There are a few rebels in there. Somebody got in and they're just playing.
Yeah, it's all handled.
All right, they're playing. They're playing.
Leave the technical to me, man.
I got you. I just happened to see it, and I just had to say something. So here we go. All right, guys. Here's Catherine to kick us off and talk for just a minute about, in her mind, what momentum is. So we're all blessed. We all love Catherine. So thank you, Catherine, and take it away.
Hey everyone, Kurt, thank you so much for inviting me to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is momentum. Now, I'm going to talk about a few things first that we don't like to talk about, because in order to have momentum, I have seen that you have to identify what's standing in the way of your momentum. So, for those of you that are on now or watching back, what is it that stops you from having momentum? We all want momentum in our life, with our health, with our businesses, with our relationships, all of those things, right? We crave growth. That's who we are as people. So I want you to think about momentum as growth. And we are in charge of the movement that creates the momentum, that creates the growth. So what stands in the way of that? Put it in the chat. I want to hear and see, as I get to go back later, what that is. What I can tell you is I have seen over and over and over, I hear things like fear, stress. I don't have enough time to build momentum in the areas. I hear things like my own negative self-talk. I hear toxic people around me say things and then it shuts me down. So many things can stop our momentum, but what can overcome those things? Number one, you just did it. Get clarity. Identify what are the things that are getting in your way. And think about this for a minute. If I was to do the opposite, if I was to have a courageous response to come against those things that are coming against my momentum and growth, what would that look like, sound like, and feel like? Put that in the chat. What would it look like to have a courageous response instead of shutting down, listening to the negativity, or allowing stress to squeeze out the very thing you want the most? Here's the thing about momentum. Momentum is small steps that lead to big breakthroughs. I think that's something else that stops us is we set this huge goal, but we don't break it down into something that we can do consistently every day. So that's the second thing. First, you get clarity, then you get consistency. What is a small step? So you may have the big courageous step, but what's the first step to that first step? What is one thing completely doable that's 100% up to you that you can do? That is what will create momentum. So again, ask the questions. What is one small step towards that big act of courage that you can do 100% up to you? So if you say, well, I'll get a customer, well, it's not about getting a customer. That's the outcome, but that's not 100% up to you. That's your vision and intention. But the goal being 100% up to you. What's the first step to the first step of getting your 5 customers this month? Or 10 if you really want to go for it. What is that? Put that in the chat. Maybe it's making the list of the people. And then it's the big courageous step, right? Making the phone call, sending the text, making the post on social media. So then ask yourself, what's the first step to the first step of that? Here's the thing. Procrastination is part of the process. Yes, I'm going to say that again. Procrastination is part of the process. And what I mean by that is that hesitation that you feel when you then choose to procrastinate, that hesitation is the evidence of action. It is normal. And in fact, it is an indicator that you're moving. So when you start to feel that hesitation that then begins to feel and look like procrastination, say, oh, that's actually the indicator to the momentum. I'm following through with that first step to the first step. And when you begin to do that, you will rise up because now you have clarity and you have consistency. Now, what's the final C? If you notice, it's community. We build momentum together. Ask for help. Go to people and say, hey, I'm getting ready to post. I'm doing my courageous act. Will you comment to get some traction for me? Go to your friends and community and say, hey, I have a goal this month to get 5 people. And I get to be blessed, but I know whoever is the 5 people that starts on superfoods or begins on the product, whatever your goal is, that you want to create momentum and growth in, tell your community. People love to help. They will help you probably more before they'll help themselves. Tell people you have a goal. Tell people to cheerlead you on and then let people celebrate with you. I got one. I made those phone calls. I'm going to make 5 more today. Cheer me on. Be accountable. What I like to do is say, choose people that will cheer with you when you follow through. So when together we can do those small steps that build momentum, that create breakthrough, not only do we get to have clarity and we get to have consistency, but we get to celebrate with this awesome community. And then we get to have our next breakthrough, which is exactly what momentum is. So, Kurt, I'm going to turn it back to you again. Thank you for allowing me to be able to speak into this very exciting time with our company.
Okay. Don't we all love Catherine? I was gonna use this word when I introduced her. She was our sage for the night. Do y'all ever use the word sage very often? That's that super wise person that just pours into you. And Catherine always is that friend in person to me. She's always a shoulder you can cry on, but her wisdom just exudes. Let's see if you remember. I took some notes when she was talking. What are the 3 C's? What overcomes some of those things that we need to overcome is to get momentum. The 3 C's she gave us were clarity. If you want to write them down, clarity, that's identifying the obstacles. Consistency, take the small steps. And community, enlist the troops to support you. And Catherine, thank you for just pouring your heart out and sharing some of your amazing wisdom with us about gaining clarity and seeing how important it is. And then some of the baby steps. I remember what was the other quote I wrote down that she said? One of the other things she said was, what are the small steps that lead to big breakthrough? You know, John Maxwell says that what really good leaders do is they believe in the people that are following them more than they believe in themselves. And in order to help them have the belief they need to trust and take action, you take their big goals and turn them into baby steps, like Catherine said, the small steps that lead to big breakthroughs. You help them take baby steps to rebuild their faith and confidence, especially those that have lost momentum. That's so, so important. Okay, so Catherine kind of laid the foundation to talk about momentum. Now, there are 2 other speakers besides me to close it out for us tonight. And I know you saw the flyer, and Brittany was going to be with us, but some of you don't know, but she's got an amazing 2-year-old little girl named Paisley who is, she deals with some health challenges, and Brittany's just an amazing mom, and she had to focus tonight where she needed to focus. And guess what? Skylar, who, he's one of those that said, well, I can't bother Skylar to ask him to get on the call. He's like leading us in a way we've never been led before. Skylar is our Vice President of North American Sales Operations. And the best way I would describe Skylar is, I think if we will follow his lead, I think he can be your Sherpa. One of my favorite books that I gave to all of my leaders a few years ago, I think we were in Phoenix. I forgot where we were, but we had a breakfast and I brought them all a book. And it's called The 100X Leader. And it's by a couple of my friends. One lives in England and one's in Oklahoma. And the book is about Sherpas. And Sherpas could be on any mountain, I guess. But the famous one that we all focus on is Mount Everest. It's like a lifelong dream for many. It's training, it's acclimation. But these Sherpas that are out there, they've climbed it. They've done it before. But their challenge in life now as a leader is to take others to the top, because they've been there. They know how to do it. And on a daily basis, they just keep taking new people to the top. And Skylar's that kind of person. He's that kind of leader in our business. So I think of him as that Sherpa that's come into our company to lead our sales team. And, I'm just being transparent and honest with you guys. We were a little bit leaderless after our founder, Jay Martin. He led this company so well for so long. He's amazing. Like a second father to me, an amazing man. But as he grew older and some of the, things that affect us as we get into our 80s, dementia and those kind of things, that slow us down, just memory, and my mom dealt with that. And Jay deals with some of those things. He's still with us, but he stepped aside as the front leader of our company. And we had some leaders for a season and through COVID that just didn't deserve to put their feet in the shoes Jay put his feet into to walk and lead us. And we have a new leader. His name's Travis Garza. And I don't think we could create, if we were a craftsman and we had the ability to create the perfect leader, I don't think we could find one better than Travis. But you know what he does so well is he finds the right people to lead with him. And he's designated Skylar as our Sherpa to take our sales to a billion in sales and to take us to whole new levels. And so I want Skylar to talk to you for a few minutes about momentum, but about momentum from his perspective as providing you from the company the tools and resources that you need that make that journey of creating, restoring, or sustaining and growing that momentum that's such a part of what we need to have our best year ever and to build a business that rewards our family with that consistent, faithful income every single month. Okay, so here's Skylar. He's my buddy. I want him to be your buddy too. And if you see him, you Voxer him, just tell him thank you for taking a minute. He's got 5 boys, and he's a great dad. And Andrea is his wife, and she's amazing too. And but here's Skylar. And Skylar, thank you for doing this so much. We appreciate you.
Hey everyone, how are you? If we have not met yet, my name is Skylar Stephenson. I am the Vice President of North American Sales Operations for Juice Plus, and I am excited to be here tonight. I'm excited that I got asked to share just a few minutes on the topic of tonight, which I understand is momentum. And I love that topic. I love it so much. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. I just want to ask you to start off to think of a time when you were in momentum. And that can be when you're with your Juice Plus business. That could be with your family. That could be with your work life, whatever it is. Just think of a time where you're like, man, things are just going my way. I am rolling right now, right? And maybe that's right now. Maybe you're feeling that right now and you're like, I am in the pocket. I am in momentum. Things are going great. It is awesome. I hope that's where you're at. If you're not, that's okay, because we all get chances throughout our lives to create momentum, and you can do it over and over and over. And so I'm here to talk a little bit about what the company is doing to help you create momentum in your business. So I've narrowed it down. I could talk forever, but I've narrowed it down to 4 things that I want to talk about real quickly here. So number 1, I call this give people reasons to open their mouth. Okay, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Give people reasons to open their mouth. Number 2, recognition. Number 3, corporate support. And number 4, training. Okay, so and then 3 and 4 kind of go together, but I'm going to give it 4. Number 1, give people reasons to open their mouth. Why do I say this? It is our responsibility as a company to give you as leaders reasons to open your mouth and talk to people, whether that's your family, whether that's your friends, whether that's someone that you're sitting next to at your kid's soccer game, whoever it is, that you have a reason to open your mouth and say, you know what, I want to share Juice Plus with this person. Now, we already have a lot of reasons why our products are absolutely incredible. We love the products. We love talking about them and what they can do for people. So that is the main reason why. But sometimes we all need a little bit of extra motivation, right? Sometimes we all need a little bit of extra to say, well, why am I talking to this person? Why am I getting out of my comfort zone and actually, seeing if this person will say yes or if I'm going to get rejected, because you might, right? And so we want to give you reasons to open your mouth. Now, here's what we're doing. Here's what we've done. You can see what path we're on here. One of those ways is promotions, short-term promotions or incentives, or whatever you want to call them. So little things we do to say, let's put a little extra carrot out there for you, and let's see if you'll go ahead and run after that. So you saw it at the beginning of the year, reset. If you were here at the beginning of the year, you know what that is. We had great success with Reset. It was a short-term promotion, but it was a clear, defined message on what to do in order to capitalize on this movement that we have with Reset. That was a great example of that. Now, what we're in right now, as we speak, that will end at the end of April, we did Strive for Five, right? Go out, find 5 new customers or partners, and you can get $500. Now, there's more to that promotion, but that's not what we're here to talk about. If you want to know more, you can certainly talk to someone in the room or someone that is in your business, and you can find out more about it. But we put out a very simple message, and we said, go out, find 5 people who want to use Juice Plus products, and we'll give you $500. That's a very simple thing to do, and it's a short-term incentive for you to say, yeah, you know what? For $500, I'll open up my mouth. I'll talk to the person sitting on the side of the street over here, or a person selling flowers or whatever. I will go talk to whoever it takes to get that $500, right? That's one of those things that we have said, and it's very simple. We try to keep these things simple, and that's what you'll see from us moving forward, is that we'll have simple little things to say, hey, here's a little extra carrot, here's a little extra something for you to go out and talk to people. That's one way to do things. Another way is new products, right? You've seen us announce new products. If you go back a year, we're celebrating the 1-year anniversary of Luminate. That was a new product. That was a new way for you to talk to people. It opened up a whole new contact list for you, really, of people you could talk to about this product. We just did it again, right? We just did it less than a month ago with Superfood Powder, another new product that's incredible, that's following the trends of people who love drinks, who love healthy drinks. And we've taken our incredible product and put it in that drink format. And it gives you yet another reason to open your mouth and talk to someone to say, hey, you know what? I know I talked to you a while back. You said you don't like capsules, you can't take pills. Guess what? We have something new, right? New products are another way for us to say, hey, here's a reason for you to go out and open your mouth and talk to people. It is our responsibility to continue to do that. I promise you will see us do this moving forward. We'll be very strategic about it. We'll keep it very simple, because if we're strategic and simple, we can create a path for you to say, you know what? At once in a while, they're going to throw a little something else out there, and now I have a little extra incentive. And hopefully you'll take advantage of those, but hopefully you'll take advantage all the time. Those are just little spurts that we can give you along the way of you creating momentum. But it's consistency that it's really going to take if you want to create momentum. And I'll talk about that as we move on here. Okay, so that was number 1. Number 2, recognition, right? Recognition. Why is that important in creating momentum? Here's why it's important. I was talking to someone, this was probably years ago, and they had just walked across the stage, and they had just received this award, and it was this nice crystal award that we had for them. And they said to me, you know, that's the first time I've ever been recognized as an adult. I don't remember being recognized or celebrated since elementary school. And that's a sad reality. And I think that's probably more often than not that people don't get recognized in their adult life. And we should celebrate each other. We should recognize each other. And so our next commitment to you, in order to help you create momentum, is that we're going to find ways to recognize your success, whatever that looks like. Whether it's you went out and you achieved the Strive for Five, whether it's that you reached a new club, maybe you reached a new club level, maybe you advanced your business and you have a new rank. Whatever we can do, we're going to find ways to recognize you. And it might not even be, and I'm sorry about my cat behind me. She just runs around the whole time. Don't worry about that. But recognition is key to make sure that when you do something great, when you start creating momentum, that we are there to say, great job. You are doing a really good job, and we really appreciate you. And we need to find more ways to do that. You're going to see us have a lot of recognition pieces on our social media sites. We're going to find ways to recognize individuals in the back office. And one of the things we're really going to do, and we're going to announce a lot of this in Indianapolis, is we're going to have a very clear path on how you can walk the stage at the next conference. because that's such a fun moment, right? That's such a moment where you're like, all right, what's it going to look like when I walk across stage and I'm recognized for what I've been doing? It's special. And we want to make sure that you feel special, but we want to make sure that we give you the clear path to say, if you do this, we'll recognize you on stage. If you do this, we'll recognize you on stage. And we give you 6 or 7 different ways that you can be recognized. But just know that we look for ways every day where we can increase the opportunity for you to be recognized because you deserve it. And it's part of momentum, because when you get recognized, you get that feeling of, oh man, I'm doing something great. I want that feeling again. And we're going to keep pushing to recognize you as individuals and help you create that momentum that you want in your business. So that's number 2. Number 3, corporate support. This is a big one. Corporate support. What does that look like? Well, there's a couple of things. First of all of you have, everybody who I'm talking to has a regional director that's over their region, and you also have a business support specialist who is over your region. So those 2 individuals are there to help you as you build your business. Your regional director, your business development specialist, whatever region you're in. I know there's people probably from all over the country here, but you have those people to lean on to say, hey, how can you help me? Can we get together on a call? Can you walk me through a business strategy? Can you help me as I'm dealing with this issue? We are here as a company to help you. Now, I want to put in a caveat that the first line of defense for you when you're looking for help is your upline, is your support team, is the people you are surrounded by that introduce you to Juice Plus. They're first because they're knowledgeable. They're in the trenches. They're doing the same things you are. They're dealing with the same problems that you are. But we are here as well. We have a team here to support you. We have a team to help you work through strategy, work through problems you may have, work through any issues so that we remove, I say this all the time, our job is to remove the roadblocks in the way so we have a clear path for you to do what you do best, which is to talk to people about Juice Plus, the products we have, the company we have, the compensation plan we have. So we have a team here. Another thing we have for corporate support are ongoing calls that we offer from us as corporate. And we've really developed a rhythm of calls because it's important to know when the calls are. And so we've developed a rhythm that we'll have 3 calls every single month, and they'll be on the same days every single month. And that doesn't mean like, April 17th, May 17th, but it means that it's, the first Tuesday, it's the second Thursday, whatever we decide on, and we have decided, and we can get you all that information. It's not what this call is about either, but we can get you all that information. But I do want to tell you about the 3 calls that you can count on every single month from corporate. One is a kickoff call. Every single month, we will do a kickoff call. And what that's meant to do is to really help you understand where our focus is and to get a partner on the call as well to say, look, this is what the company's offering this month. This is what our focus is this month. This is what my team is doing. And this is what I encourage you to do to find success and to create momentum in this month. Every single month, at the very beginning of the month, we will do that. So you know where to focus, what the call to action is, and where we're going for that particular month. That call will happen every single month at the beginning of the month. In the middle of the month, we're going to do a prospect call. Okay, this is where you can invite prospects to a call to learn about Juice Plus. And we'll have some of our partners on there talking about the products, talking about the compensation plan, so that people can get a full comprehensive look at Juice Plus. We will do that every single month in the middle of the month. And then finally, the third call that we'll do every month is a training call, because we want to provide ongoing training for you. And that will usually come from field leaders because again, they are doing exactly what you're doing. So we will own the call. We will make sure that we are on the call and that we are kicking it off, but we will rely heavily on our partners who are winning to say, these are the things I'm doing. These are the tips and the tricks that I'm doing to succeed, to create momentum. And you can adopt some of those. Now, it won't be every tip and trick because maybe it won't work for you, but you can pick out those things from those training calls every month and say, this can help me create momentum. So that's another thing that we will be offering is those 3 calls every single month: kickoff call, prospect call, training call. You can count on it, and you can get the dates that we're going to be doing those from your upline, from your regional director. You can see exactly when you can put those in your calendar and just count on it every single month. Okay, number 4, training. Now, I just talked about training. So you're like, why is it number 4? Why is he doing another one? This is different because here's what we're developing. We're in the middle, right now, we are in the middle of developing a program where from day one, you can introduce a partner and we can say, okay, you know what? Here's day one. Here's what you can focus on. Here's how to tell your story. Here's how to prospect. Here's how to close. Here's how to, any of these steps along the way that a new partner can come in and say, okay, I know that I can go to this training program and I can get steps along the way of how I can win at Juice Plus. Now, again, the caveat on this is that your upline, your leaders have systems in place. And so you can rely heavily on these systems. What we're creating is an onboarding, a training program for partners who are new to say, okay, I can take what my leaders are teaching me, I can take this and I can create a plan around this. But as a corporate staff, we want to make sure that we have that in place so that people know exactly what they can do when they start. Along with that, we're going to create training for everybody. So whether you're new, whether you're not, we're going to create trainings that just talk about the basics of building a business, the basics of how do you tell your story, right? How do you create a curiosity about Juice Plus? What do you say about the products? What do you say about our company story? Things that we can train you on that maybe you already know, but it's always good to get a reminder, right? So we're developing training programs that will be robust, that will be easy to find, and that you can point someone to, or you can use yourself as we move forward. So 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Reasons to open your mouth, recognition, corporate support, and training. That's what we're doing. That's what our focus is as we help you, because momentum can be created at any time. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you feel like you're at the lowest of the low, or if you feel like I'm doing okay, but I could do a little better. Momentum can be created by consistent action. And our goal is to find ways to help you be consistent in your actions, and that you just do the same things over and over and over until you win. And that's not to say that you won't add things to that, right? That's why all of these things are in place. But if you are consistent in your actions, if you figure out what your game plan is, what your DMO is, what your daily method of operation is, and you do that over and over and over, you will win. And along the way, we will help you in the 4 ways that I said to create that momentum and to win. And I know you can. We are here with you. We are going to walk this and run this with you. Whatever you want to do, we are side by side and we will win together. So I want to thank you so much for the time, and I hope you have a great rest of the event. Thanks so much, everyone.
Okay. All right, let's do a little checkup here. Skylar was amazing. Do you all see why I'm excited about having him as our leader? I mean, he's a go-getter. He's like the person you would want with the cattle prod poking you to create momentum. So I think the 4 things that he told us are perfect for not just a new person, but all 3 of those categories of momentum we talked about. You remember the 3 categories? It was, I've never had momentum, but I really would like to learn how to establish momentum in my business. I've had it, I lost it, I want it back so bad. That's the second category. And then the third category was, I've got momentum, but I want to grow it, sustain it, because I want to create it in such an amazing way that it just perpetuates itself. It becomes permanent. So in the comments right now, which of those 4 do you think will help you establish momentum the most? I love the reason to open your mouth. I love the $500, the incentive, and I love the new products. But would it be reason to open your mouth? Is that what gets you the most excited? Is it recognition, walking across that stage plus other things? Is it customer support? Or is it the training they're going to provide? I'd love for you just to throw in there, Skylar. I'm sure he'll see the comments. He would probably love to hear and see you guys comment on which of those 4 are most important. They're all great. But I know he would love to hear that. And let me just give you one thing. He talked about this, but I'm not sure you all got the dates down. The first Tuesday of every month is the kickoff call. The second Thursday is the prospect call. And the third Thursday is the training call. That's the rhythm. So it's not a date, it's the first Tuesday, then the second and third Thursday, okay? So those things are coming. And Skylar, thank you for being with us. And you just such a great role model in your marriage and your family and being a great dad. So I just appreciate watching you, and tell your bride, Andrea, we said hello and thanks for sharing you for a little while tonight, okay? Next on the table is Jesse Lepicki. And I've gotten to know Jesse a whole lot better in the last, let's say, 60 to 90 days. Had an amazing phone call with her husband, Steve. What a great guy. What a great duo they are with their amazing parenting and marriage together. And I used the word I used to describe Jesse. I said, Catherine was our sage. She was our source of wisdom. And I saw somebody posted, and it's what I was kind of sharing today as I was promoting and sharing this event for you guys to attend, was that Catherine's kind of like E.F. Hutton. When she speaks, we listen. And somebody put that in the comments. But she does. She brings such wisdom to the table. So she's our sage. Skylar is our Sherpa, doing things to help lead us to the top. And I'm going to call Jesse our warrior. Now, I didn't have enough space and time to get a person on here tonight that was in all three of those categories. I felt like more of you would be in the category, I have had momentum, but COVID, economic, housing challenges, technology, whatever, something, my momentum's gone. I want it back so bad. And I felt like that was going to be the biggest category of people that were with us, because I know some of you just were kicking butt and taking names, and then this Wuhan thing hit us from China and it changed the world. It put us in isolation, and we're all in recovery mode. I mean, it's sad for me to see the number of people that are kind of still under their rock that fell on top of them during COVID, and they just not sure they want to come out. Just like that person that was embarrassed to tell me they didn't know where to find the front door anymore because they were so disconnected, and they've been under a rock for a while, you know? But Jessie, she's a warrior. Not only is she like an obstacle race athlete, her and her husband, Steve, but she had a great business. COVID hit. She had a baby. She got Lyme's disease. I mean, she just got clobbered from all different angles. And her business declined. It didn't go away. Even without her tending to it, it stayed. But she's built it back. She is not just talking about some of the principles that Catherine talked about. She's there. She had it. She lost it. She knew how important it was, and she built it back. So, and Jesse and I also, we did a podcast together. I have a podcast called Life, It's What You Make It. It's not life what happens. It's life is what you make it. And Trey Bogdan and I, he's co-hosted with me and is a great facilitator. But we had Jesse on just to talk about this journey. So if you want a longer, more detailed version of Jesse's story, you can go to any of the podcast platforms, or you can go to our website and grab that podcast if you want to hear some more from Jesse. But she's specifically going to talk to you for a few minutes about momentum. So here's Jesse.
My name is Jesse Lepicki. I wanted to come here and just share a little bit about my story with you guys and a little bit of my thoughts on momentum, the momentum train, right? Because I feel like I'm hoping that it will help some of you maybe relate to me, and you hear something that maybe will help you in your journey and your business. And yeah, so my story started probably close to 10 years ago. I learned a little bit about nutrition. I actually reversed my PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, from just eating a more whole food, plant-based diet. And that really led me down a path of just becoming very passionate about nutrition. And so, the doctors don't tell you about that, right? Like the fact that you have this tool and with nutrition, and you have the ability to really change the trajectory of your health. And so I became a nutrition coach. I became an athlete. And someone shared Juice Plus with me, and it really just made sense, you guys. I knew and I understood, like, the more plants I could get into my body, the better it would function. And so we said yes right away. We really thought we were super healthy because we were these athletes, and what looking back, we really did have a lot of like aches and pains for being in our early 30s. We were just those people that were constantly sick at the getting colds and sinus infections, and I wasn't sleeping well. And so within our first week of getting started on Juice Plus, we noticed we were not sore anymore with training. All of our inflammation left the body. I was sleeping better. And then it was a year into taking Juice Plus. It's like, you don't notice the cold that doesn't come or the inflammation or pain that goes away, right? So we looked back after a year, we were like, oh my gosh, we haven't been sick, not one time. And we were those people that were always sick with colds and sinus infections. And so a year in, we noticed we were not sick, not one time after starting Juice Plus. And that was the year before COVID. So we were just beyond grateful for this gift. And then I used it as my sole prenatal with my son, Daniel. And it was such a blessing to have that as well, because I had a beautiful pregnancy, no weird symptoms, no heartburn, cravings, nausea, nothing. I had just this abundance of energy, and this beautiful, healthy baby boy came out. He's never been on any antibiotics, no over-the-counter prescription medications, and he's just so healthy. Like, I laugh because he is just this image of health. He's my Juice Plus baby. He opens the freezer door and gets out frozen spinach for snacks. It's very weird, I know, but that is our story. And kind of the reason why we said yes to the business is because we could not actually afford to take Juice Plus. And so I said yes to the business because I needed to share with a couple of people so that I could pay for my own Juice Plus. And I knew how important that was. So it just really kind of snowballed from there. I started to share, with people, and I would have people come to me and say, thank you. Like, thank you so much for sharing this gift with me. Like, it has changed my life. And that really just fueled my passion even more, because I've always wanted to help people. I became the nutrition coach. So this was actually an easier track to help people on than nutrition coaching, because I would give them a task. I would tell them what to do with nutrition coaching, but they wouldn't do it. Right. So this being inside of, we call it the best health club ever. It really, I felt like this was a better track to be able to help people on, because we have all the tools and you get to come alongside us in this community, and I found that people were having more success. So that really fueled my fire. And so I just kept sharing. I just kept sharing because in my heart, I knew more people needed to know about this gift. So that really snowballed into something really beautiful. I actually built my business during COVID. I hit QNMD, qualified national marketing director, and within my first 2 years. And yeah, and then life happened to me, right? So I had a lot of quick success, and then we all know, right? Like, the momentum is great. And I'll tell you how I built it the first time, right? It was a lot of, because we were virtual, right? During COVID, that didn't stop us, right? Even before COVID happened, I was doing a lot of online sharing. I was making friends that way. I was finding friends in Facebook groups and just connecting there and having those one-on-one personal conversations. And I was using something called Forum, to just meet new people and start up the conversation, break the ice. So it's family, occupation, recreation, and motivation, right? So, hey, if you know them, how's your family doing? What are you doing for fun these days? What are you doing for work? And just get that conversation going. And a lot of times health or finances typically come up, right? I love what Ashley Hudson shares. We have 3 things here that people pray for the most, right? Is their health, their relationships, and their finances. And we get to enhance all 3 of those here. So usually those things come up in conversation if you were having those conversations. So that's what I found was really helpful. Like I said, I had some quick success, and then life happened to me. I had a baby, and then I found out I was super sick after having a baby. I was completely depleted, and I found out I was living in mold, and I had Lyme's disease. And so that really rocked my world, you guys. I could not even pick up my newborn baby. It was hard. It was really hard for me, and I had a hard time even forming sentences. The brain, like, psychosis was so bad. And so that, like, I had to really take a step back from my business during that time and, put it down. Like, I was completely unplugged. I wasn't even on any calls anymore. And I praise God for this Juice Plus community, because it was like, he really did. He put the right people in front of me, and someone under me on my team actually reached up to me and said, hey, I really think you should watch this call. And it was about hormone health. So I was like, okay, I'll get on and I'll support her. And I really heard things on that call that made me start asking more questions about my health. And so I was led to somebody in a sideline friend, QNMD, April Manuelson, who is a functional nutrition practitioner. She specializes in biotoxins, things like mold and Lyme. And so it was just a God thing. And she helped me detox naturally, didn't need any antibiotics. And so, yeah, life happened to me. So, like, when I stopped working, I was making $4,000 a month. And then, it trickled from there over 2 years. You guys, I wasn't able to really touch my business in a meaningful way. And I watched my team fade away and I watched my paycheck dwindle. And we went through, selling our house and moving cross country. And after all of that, it was 2 years later. Looking back, it's wild to think about. I was making my paycheck got below the Comma Club, right? I was making $800, and my husband looked at me and he said, "Okay, Jess, it's time to pick up your business again. We need it. We need the income." So it was really hard. I'm not gonna lie. It was very awkward. I hadn't done it in a while. I didn't remember what to say or even how to get that momentum back again. I always say, you always hear that in this business, like it's easier to keep the momentum going then stop that freight train, right? We talk about that freight train is really like I love that analogy. Like a freight train uses 75% of its gas just to get going. And so while it's trying to get going, even a small twig can stop that train. It can stop it. And so, but once it gets going though, you guys, once that freight train is going and it has momentum, it can plow through a building. And so that's really how I felt restarting my business, you guys. I felt like that slow moving train, like I wasn't having a lot of success. It was harder at first to find people. I was in a new place. I didn't know anybody. I was not even qualified. I had zero team. And so it was inch by inch by inch by inch. And over this past year, it's crazy to look back and see because our company really set it up perfectly for us to get that momentum going. And it was one thing led to another, right? It was the event incentive over the summer. We did a lot of events. I did about 15 events, sourdoughs, fire cider, salad jar parties, a lot of One Simple changes, just booths, vendor tables, just going out and meeting people. And over that period, it's the numbers game, right? We know, right? Only like about 1 out of 5 people in this business are going to do this with us, right? So I tell people like think in terms of abundance in your mind, right? If you're new and I'm helping a new person get started and I'm helping them understand, like if you're just sharing with a handful of people, your mindset is in that lack mindset. You're not really sharing with the masses. And in your mind, you're probably thinking, oh, you really want these 5 or so handful of people to say yes, you want to hit your promotion, but it might feel like a stretch. It might feel like that's hard. And you're not finding the yeses, you're finding nos with those handfuls of people. Right. So I really like to train people, think of it in terms of abundance. Okay. If you're going out and you think, okay, I have a line, we all have a line to the end of the earth. Okay. If you just one by one by one, and you share with the masses and you share with 50 to 100 people as fast as you possibly can, you're bound to find those yeses, right? You're not even going to have time to worry about the no's. You're going to be so involved with finding those yeses. And that's what's going to excite your business, right? That's going to get you a big paycheck. That is going to get your momentum train going. And so I wanted to share that. Just keep that in mind. You really have to train the brain, right? A lot of people come into this business and, we all have to work on our mindset, right? That's the only factor really. We have all the same resources. Everything is the same playing field. The only difference is our mind. Okay. So you really have to train your brain to accept those no's, right? Our brain, the rejection is the same feeling that we feel if we were being chased by a lion, you guys. So our brain, it's fascinating, right? Our brain tries to shield us from those rejections so that we don't have to experience it, right? Because it feels hard. It's like a fight or flight feeling, and you don't like that feeling because you feel like it's about you. But really, what I have to tell you is it's not about you, you guys. It is not about us. It is about the other person. It's about getting over your damn self and sharing with the person anyway, even though it might feel scary and you may worry about what that person is going to think of you. It doesn't matter what they think about you. What matters is that we are giving people the information, okay? And we need to separate ourselves from that no And we need to let people make their own decisions for themselves and love them wherever they are on that spectrum, right? So if they're a no, if they're all in yes, wherever they land, just know a no is not a no forever, right? And you're not going to lose any friends over sharing Juice Plus, right? You're sharing because you care. It's like sharing a good book, right? And so, that's kind of like how I started my business, right? With all of these incentives, with the reset, in January, and then the top sponsors in February. I was, top 5 in the company for a lot of these incentives, and this is why, and it's because I was consistent. If you just get consistent with your business over just a 6-month period of time, or even a year, it can be different for everybody, but you will find your rhythm. You will find your momentum. And I'm telling you, do not give up. You just have to do an event, do it again, and do it again, and keep doing it until you find that momentum. Okay. And that's what it's all about, right? You cannot say the wrong thing to the right person, and you can't say the right thing to the wrong person, right? So it doesn't, I think I just said that twice, but you understand what I'm saying. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person. You can't say the right thing to the wrong person. So it doesn't matter anyway, right? You just go out and make a mess, and there's no perfect people allowed. Just go out and do it anyway, right? And the more you do that, I love what the Myers say about this, like action cures fear and builds your confidence, right? So if you just get into the action and just start doing the A activities, they get easier and easier. And then I like, for me, I get anxiety when I'm not sharing, when I'm not following up, right? So once you get to that place, it is a lot harder to stop that momentum train than just to keep it going, right? And so we have those seasons of being, really busy, and we have those seasons of having that rebuilding phase, and we're in that phase of how do we get that train going again, right? So I just want to tell you this, like it's really hard to get the train going again and get that momentum going when we don't have it. And it does feel hard, but you guys, just, you don't have to see the entire staircase. Just take the one step in front of the other, and you will find your momentum again. You just have to keep going. You just have to be consistent, no matter what that looks like. Even if you're not having success, I'm telling you, you are always one share away from finding your next superstar, or your next runner with you, and your next buddy. And there's nothing like a new buddy that's on fire, just get you going and get you excited again, right? So really, I just want to instill in you guys, like, once you get that momentum going again too, some of us might know what that feels like, but just know, like, it is so important to be able to sustain that momentum, okay, and not burn out, right? We talk about, like, a lot of us really, like, we talk about, like, the ones that are successful here and the ones who aren't. Really, the only difference is that the successful ones know how to manage their time better, right? And it's about setting those clear boundaries. It's about having the space to do the work and saying, okay, this is my power hour. This is my 30 minutes. This is my hour, without any distractions. And a lot of times, you guys, you can get more done in that short amount of time than you can if you just willy-nilly spread it out throughout the day. Like, I have worked that way, and I'm telling you, that is how you burn out. If you're just responding to messages right away, throughout the whole day, you're taking away from your family. You're taking away from your own joy in your own life. You need to have boundaries. You need to have clear, scheduled block time for your business. And that is how okay, once you're done with that time, you go all out massive action during that time. Everything that you can get more done during that time than you can if it's all over the place, right? If that makes sense. So having that block time, and then saying, okay, when the time is over, I'm done, right? And just turning it off, putting the phone away, enjoying your family. That is how you do this business. Okay. That's what I've had to learn the hard way, right? Not burning out, because you have to keep that momentum train going. You have a team now, and people reaching out. So, and that's kind of what it feels like. And, remember, like, you're always one share away from finding that next superstar, right? Like, I worked for 6 months, you guys, until I actually finally found someone to do this business with me. Like, I was doing all the events myself. I was doing, like I said, sourdough, fire cider, label detective classes, things like that. And just adding value to my community. And that's really how I did it. I was posting, and I was using, virtual, posting in Facebook, and finding people that way and creating a community, hey, who's interested in sourdough is an incredible funnel. You need a funnel to find your people, right? So going out, you're going to have to get out of the house. You're going to have to find groups to go and network and meet with people, and then build that community, invite them to things that you're doing, whatever interests you, right? Whatever sets your soul on fire, whether that's sourdough, or if you're a guy, you like golf, or go-karts, whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is. So you just got to figure out what sets your heart on fire and what gets you excited, because whatever that is going to excite other people. Okay. And so, find that and go out and do it and do it and do it and do it, and don't give up. And if you keep doing it, you're going to find those people, right? It took me a while. It took me 6 months to get my momentum going again. But after that 6 months, you guys, I look back, and this time last year I was making $800. Last month I made about $5,000. So I love that we get to do that. We get to share this gift with people. Like, isn't that incredible that we get to literally give ourselves a raise every single month? How awesome is that? Is that we get to show people how to do that, and that, look, you're making this much now. Look if you just stay consistent over 6 months to a year and keep going and don't give up, look where you can be in a year's time, right? And so you can be, top 5 in the entire company as well, right? I'm not anybody that's special. I'm just someone that made a choice, and I needed it, right? And even through the midst of this digital transformation or COVID, I feel like I'm like that underdog person that just goes for it when it's so unlikely, when it feels impossible. But I needed it, right? I needed it to happen. And so your why needs to be bigger than you, right? When it gets hard, when those no's are heavy. Like, I remember my first few no's, right? In the beginning, and I had to not talk to people for a week. I would get a couple no's and it would be so hard, but you get back out there and you find the yeses, and that's what keeps you going, right? So you need to, strengthen your mind. Now I get a no, and it's like a relief. It's like, oh, okay, now that frees up mental space for me, and I can focus on the people that really do need my help, right? So, it took me 6 months to find my next runner, and I have this amazing woman in my life now, Jennifer Adams is her name. And I found her at Sourdough, right? She was looking for community and was told to go find something fun that brings her joy. And she went to Sourdough. You guys, she almost didn't come. And so you just never know. Don't you dare give up on people. You never know whose life you're going to change. Okay. You guys, she has a beautiful story. Her dad used to be a representative for the business, and she bought it from her dad and stopped buying after he passed away. And you guys, this community gave her life again, breathed life back into her, and she hit the ground running. She came to boot camp, Peachtree City boot camp. She heard me speak and heard all the other people speak at boot camp, and it lit a fire under her, and she hit sales coordinator in a matter of 2 or 3 months, you guys. So you just never know who needs this and who's praying for something like this. So don't you dare give up on people. So anyway, that is just, in a nutshell, what I wanted to share with you guys. And I don't know if that is helpful, but I hope it is. If it is, I'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions about anything I said, please reach out to me. You can follow me on Instagram at Plant Your Future, and Facebook. You can follow me there, Jessie Lipicki. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for giving me your time, Kurt. Thank you for asking. And I hope you guys have a blessed day. Please just go out and be the light, you guys. People, we need to go out and be the light givers, right? People need the real us, okay? Hardship brings ease, okay? Whenever we go through a valley, whenever something is hard, God wants us to get uncomfortable, okay? Comfort is not where we grow. Getting uncomfortable is where we share our light, and we get to lead others to God and help them find their joy and their light in this world, and how they get to help others too. And so we are the light givers. Go out there and shine your light, okay? I love you, and I hope you have a blessed day.
Wow. Jessie, thank you. Steve, thanks for sharing and probably doing a little dad duty while she was able to share with us tonight. And we just appreciate, Jessie, we appreciate your warrior mentality and your warrior story. I'd love to hear what your favorite nugget you took away from Jessie was. My favorite, there were a bunch in there, But I think my favorite was you don't have to see the entire staircase, just the next step. To regain momentum, you don't have to see the entire staircase. You just have to see the next step. I think that's pretty amazing. So let's see if we can wrap this thing up and tie it in a bow. I wanted you to hear from Jessie because she is a warrior, and she's one of those that decided I had momentum. Life happened. I lost momentum, but it's time to get it back. And she did. She made a choice. I saw somebody make a comment that said she made a choice. This is me at a Georgia football game. I think that week Lori and I had Trey, my oldest, and all three of his boys there with us. But the reason I'm putting football up here is I had an amazing. What made me decide that momentum was our word for this season, this second quarter of this year, is something hit me a few weeks ago, and it was the spring football was coming back, and I was thinking about all these schools that had amazing momentum. And I don't know who you follow; it doesn't really matter to me. I mean, I really admire Kirby Smart as a leader. I admire Nick Saban. There's several coaches out there. I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out that's your favorite, so don't get mad at me. I just know the ones that I'm close to, and I've heard some of their tactics and things. But think about it, maybe your school, maybe your team. It doesn't have to be college football. Maybe your team had momentum, and something happened that maybe robbed that momentum. And I think about football as the example right now. Think about programs like Georgia and others that for a season there, they were set up, I mean, to be a real dynasty. Look at what Nick Saban did over a long period of time at Alabama. And there are other examples. Again, I live in Georgia. Alabama's next door. Well, I live in the SEC, so I'm using that as my example. But we've had some turbulent things happen to us, but think about what NIL and the transfer portal, if you're into football at all, that means college athletes getting paid now to perform, and it means they can move from one school to the other whenever they want to. You know, Kirby Smart said, all I want to know is who's going to be on my team next year. And there are things that impact momentum beyond our control, and we certainly have faced some of those things with, like we've talked about, Jesse talked about, COVID, crisis, technology, all the things that could have impacted you. And we've all got our own stories. If you've lost momentum, you probably would label that on something. I would encourage you not to blame somebody else and take some ownership, because if you're going to regain that momentum, you do need to look in the mirror sometimes, you know. But I wanted to talk to you for a minute about, this seems to have come up tonight, but Skylar talked a little bit about the 4 things that they wanted to do as a company to support us. And one of the things he said, we want to give you reasons to open your mouth. And that was, I didn't know that's what he was going to share when I put this slide together. But I think in order for momentum to happen, I think there has to be a catalyst for inertia to start, for something to move in the direction you want it to go. Something has to catalyze that. And I thought it was just amazing that Skylar identified that was one of the things the company wanted to make sure they were doing, was giving us catalyst that would push us to take that first step, whether it was a bonus and a pot of cash in a contest or new products. And the cash is important. But, you know, in our business, I would rather build my paycheck than I had continually go after one-time cash. So I like the cash to get it started. But what I really love is more was that new product that gave me a reasons to create a high, just to raise the bar on the consistent residual income. Now, so we got to have a catalyst, but the consistency there is not about consistent income. The consistency there is something we really began at the beginning of this year, because we talked about, in order to have your best year ever, it wasn't a one-time thing. You didn't just, chop a piece of wood one time and you split your firewood for the season. No, you had to keep swinging the axe. You had to keep chopping. And consistency, what we described it and what it looked like was, if you are going to build this, you're going to work really hard with intensity and build this fire. Pretend your business is like a fire. and you work hard and you build this amazing fire. What's the one thing you know that you have to do? You've got to consistently throw wood on that fire, or the fire's going to go out and you got to build it all over again. Okay? So we know that has to happen. So I want you to think about, what are you doing? Number one, you're hearing some things tonight about creating your momentum. And I'll tell you one story. This was not planned, but it just popped into my head. When Lori and I've been seeing Amy make comments, and there are lots of leaders on this call tonight. Amy Getz, she was really hammering home some of the things that Jesse was talking about. I'm sure Amy probably taught her some of those things. But one of the things that I think is so important with all these leaders, and it was true with Lori and I, if you're going to have momentum, you're going to be able to look back on a period of time when you stop saying, I'm going to try and do this, I'm going to try and do that, when I have time, I'm going to do this. You're going to look back and say, there was a season in 2025 when I decided I wanted the fruits of this business for my family. I decided that I was going to do whatever it took to get it done, and I sacrificially invested. And I remember when Lori and I signed up in late 1987. Gosh, that's been a long time ago. We're old, aren't we? And I had just recently graduated from Georgia Tech. We had recently been married. And y'all think I'm really weird. Now, I showed you that I've got season tickets to Georgia football, and I'm telling you, I went to Georgia Tech. Yes, that's right. All my kids went to Georgia, and my son was Harry Dog. And so, I just got in. I love SEC football. And even when I was at Tech, I watched Herschel Walker play football. So, yeah, I did go to Tech, and I love the Yellow Jackets too. I love both. But all my money went to Georgia to pay for my kids' tuition, but thankfully I got that tuition money from Juice Plus. That's great. But, so when I graduated from Tech, they were like at the peak of ACC basketball. They were in the Final Four. They were like jamming. We had what they call the Lethal Weapon 3, Mark Price, John Sally, and Bruce Dallin. We had an amazing basketball team, and I loved it when I was in school. I got student tickets and could go to every game. Then I figured out when I graduated, I couldn't get tickets anymore. I didn't know that this was a thing, but you had to give like $10,000 donation before you had the right to buy a ticket. That didn't even include a ticket. And here I was right out of school. So me and my 4 buddies, we had to all chip in together to create one account for each of us to scrape up and donate enough money to buy some tickets with our brand new job right out of school. And Lori and I decided we were going to do Juice Plus. It was basketball season. I had tickets. We had made arrangements, donated money to make sure we could go to the games. Guess what? I didn't go to one basketball game that year. We decided basketball would wait, and we were going to build this business. Now, we all have different obstacles, but what is something that you might need to set aside? You're going to grab one of these things like Skylar talked about that's your catalyst, but in order for you to consistently go do this over a short period of time to create momentum, what are you willing to set aside? Because every big leader that's created a business where their family's blessed for decades and generations to come in this business, they will tell you there was this moment, this 6 to 12 month, 18-month window of time when I sacrificially invested in my business. And I knew that if I did that, all the things that I missed out on for that short season, they'd be there when I got done, and I'd have more resources and availability to enjoy them to a greater capacity. So I'm telling you, that's going to happen whether you realize it or not. And I love this Zig Ziglar quote. He says, some of you don't ever think you can be a big shot, that you're just a little shot. And Zig Ziglar says the major difference between the big shot and the little shot is the big shot is just a little shot who kept on shooting. That's what that consistency is. You just keep on shooting. You keep on popping. You keep on going after it. This is an example of what Skylar talked about. Superfood is a major catalyst for me and my business right now, for you and your business, for the company and our business. It's a breakthrough. Now, I'll be honest with you, I was kind of sad that this story didn't come out at conference. I prodded Skylar and Travis a little bit to share this, but then there's only so much you could share on stage. And Gina and the whole rebranding and everything they told us about superfoods, I can see why this just didn't have the space or capacity. But can I tell you why I am more excited about this superfood as a catalyst than maybe anything in my 37 years in this company. So I'm going to go back a little bit, tell you how old I am, or you'll feel how old I am. When I got started, we were still in the water filter business. And just for a couple of years, and then Juice Plus came out shortly thereafter. But we were in that business, and the company was struggling when they were in the water filter business. You know, the bottled water was coming out, and you had to be a plumber almost to sell our product. It was great. It was the number one selling water filter in the world, but I mean, you had to install the things under people's sink. It was a lot of work, okay? And you had to buy a bunch of inventory. Anyway, right before I got started, Jay was telling this story of what turned things around and saved the company. And, you know, Jay was if you never got to hear Jay at his peak telling stories, you missed out on something, and it really did. It's just like if you never heard Howard Cosell call a Monday night football game, you missed out. But Jay told the story of, you know, people couldn't understand how good our product was because they had to buy it, have it installed before they could even taste the good water. And his friend Jacques Blondeau, who was in the pots and pans business and in the fire alarm business, smoke alarm business with Jay prior to the water filters, came down from Canada and said, Jay, you need this thing you put on the end of the faucet. It's a rubber suction, and you temporarily hook up the water filter, and they can make tea, make coffee, they can taste it, and they buy it. And Jay called it the puppy dog sales approach, where it's like if you take a little 5-year-old child and you plop down a golden retriever puppy in their lap and tell the parents, they're saying, we don't need a dog. It's okay. I just want your child to play with it, enjoy it for a week, and I'll come back. And if you don't want it, I'll take it. How many times is the golden retriever not going to stay with that child? Its soul once that child hugs that puppy. And so Jay said, we came up with the puppy dog sales approach, and everybody loved our water. It wasn't high pressure. People could try it before they bought it. And they experienced not double, not triple, but a 14 times increase in revenue the month after they introduced a way to sample the water filter. So when I knew this new superfood product was coming and I got to taste it, I said, this is Travis being just like Jay Martin all over again. A product, our capsules, our fruit, veggie, and berry product that has all the research on those powders. That's, 85% of our business over time. And it's the number one selling whole food nutrition product in the world, most researched nutrition product in the world. And we've never been able to let anybody sample it before they bought it. I'm like, this is it. This is the catalyst that's going to change the game. If you consistently let it get the momentum started and you plug it into your DMO, how many samples are you giving out every day? How many conversations are you having? Are you taking advantage of what the company's doing to give you a reason to open your mouth? So I'm just telling you, that is what we're talking about. Those kind of things will let you look forward with that tomorrow you've crafted, and you'll change your activity today to make it happen. These are some of the things, in addition to all the catalysts and all the consistency. I want you to think about rhythm. You heard, I think everybody in one way or another, the speakers tonight talked about rhythm. And I'm wrapping it up. I'm hurrying here. But all these things, daily, weekly, and monthly rhythms, are things you need to develop. And we've got tools to help you do that, okay? But here's the main thing I wanted to share with you. As I was having a quiet time and where I was reading and studying at the moment, I just got slammed up beside the head this week. And I'm going to use a biblical example. And no matter what your faith journey is, what religion you are, this is Jesus, a great leader, teaching his people how to behave, to grow, and spread a message. Okay, so you can take it as a faith message, or you can just take it as a principle that we know works. Okay, so here's Jesus about to leave the earth after this is, we got Easter Resurrection Sunday coming up. And so this was after he was resurrected and he was on earth. 40 witnesses saw him, and he's like sitting there and he says, he's telling him he's leaving. I'm going back to heaven. I'm leaving. I'm getting out of here. And I want you to go to, this is where they lived, Judea, Samaria, Jerusalem, to the uttermost parts of the earth. He wanted them to go out and spread the word, grow this thing. And you know what their response was? This was his inner core group. They said, does this mean you're coming back soon? What do we need to do? Because we're to get ready for you to come back. And I thought about that, and then I was reading a John Maxwell thing, and John Maxwell dove into this exact topic, and he said, do you realize that Jesus said, go play offense? And their response was, what do we need to do just to make sure we can maintain what we have? We're going to play defense till you come back. When you come back, we'll be ready to play. We're going to watch you play offense. We'll play offense with you, but when you're not right here with us, we're going to go into the defensive mode. We just want to know when you're coming back, because they didn't want to play offense. Did COVID and the conditions and the technology battles and the things we fought, have that made you want to treat your business and play defense? Have you stopped playing offense? That's my question for you. Are you playing offense? Because you cannot have momentum if your modus operandi is defense. Defense is a barrier. Offense is a motion. It's a momentum. And another way I think about it is scarcity versus abundance. I think the best word to describe to what happened to our country during those COVID years, I think it changed people. So they tried to squeeze every living bit out of life that they could from their homes. They didn't reach out and grow and do new things. Abundance was the farthest thing from their mind. They were scared, and they operated out of scarcity. If you want momentum, you have to operate out of abundance. You have to have an abundance mindset. Let me share with you some things and ways you can play offense. You heard a lot tonight. One way you can play offense is to share your story. Who are you going to share your story with tomorrow, this week, this month? How many times do you need to share your story between now and April 30th to make sure you get your 5 customers and your $500? Strive for 5. Just sharing your story enough times could accomplish that. That's one of the moves that can be in your playbook. What's another one? Social media. Jesse talked a little bit about social media. The company on boards and on the hub has given us resources to share on social media. Are you shy? Haven't figured that out yet? Do you need to just break through and start sharing on social media? One of the things that we're going to do coming up here very soon, I'm not sure we're going to do it in April. We're going to try to get it done in April. We're going to do a big campaign and figure out what's the best way to get people's attention on social media so that they want a sample of superfood. I want to use that little folder we got at conference, stick 2 sleeves of superfood in there, and I want to get as many samples in the mail as I can as an opportunity for growth and momentum. What are you going to do on social media? What's your playbook? Is it a slant? Is it run up the middle? Is it, just a bomb down the middle for a touchdown? I don't know. But what are you going to do on social media? What are you going to do about events? There are lots of events. Skylar told you about the second Thursday of every month is an event for prospects. You can plug into that. Wendy Campbell does her Wow is in the Why on a regular basis. We do events on Facebook and YouTube, online events. There are boot camps coming up to get people to get them trained and to build momentum. I know in Atlanta on April 26th, Carolyn Price is hosting Travis Garza, our CEO, and David Phillips, a Harvard-educated medical doctor who is an Ironman triathlete. It's going to be a great event. What events are going on in your area? Boards, the company's Facebook page, the Juice Plus Live app. You can see Just like if you're playing football, they're going to give you a playbook. All these things are available to you so you can call your next play. This is my favorite, three-way calls. The phone, that's probably is about what the phone looked like in my days. You know, when you're a dinosaur, you have old things. And so that might have been what the rotary phone looked like that was at my grandmom's house. I never had a rotary phone like that was my phone. My grandparents did, but I had touch tone phones, and I had to pay $10 a month, maybe even 15 as an add-on feature so that I could have three-way calling on my phone. Now it's free. Now long distance is free, and the cell phone goes with you anywhere you want to go. I had to carry a roll of quarters around on a pager so I could go to a payphone. I mean, you think y'all have it difficult? I mean, I literally left each morning with my pager on my hip and a roll of quarters in my pocket because somebody would call me, page me. I need to stop and use a payphone. But we did what we had to do. And I paid that extra $15 a month to have that feature on my phone because I was taught that three-way calling was critical. Amy threw in there, Jesse talked about Power Hour. There are lots of them. You go to boards, and I know on the Campbell team board, there's once a week, there's a new schedule that comes out. So they're scheduled power hours. I recorded one and set one up on our website, makealife.com/power hour, that's recorded. So you can do it any time of day. Whenever you want to do it, you said, I want to be held accountable. I want to take this hour and play offense for my business, but I can't do it when in this schedule. It didn't fit, but you can do it whenever you want to. It's recorded. It's not as good as a live one, maybe, with the charisma and stuff, but that's on my website for you to use. And then once a month, we do a live power hour where we dive in for an hour, and we, instead of just having the same old power hour, we take the incentives and the special things that are going on in the moment, and we focus on those during that live power hour. And then at the end of that, I do a live Q&A so that anybody that feels like they don't have the leadership they need or they have questions, I want to be there because nobody needs to have no matter whose downline they're in, I want to be there to make sure they have that question answered. So you can find that on our site too. Here's something we're going to do to help start this momentum movement. Starting in May, the first 5 days of May, well, actually the first 5 weekdays of May, that's May 1st is a Thursday. So it's Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're going to let you take Saturday, Sunday off to do, family things and stuff. We want to take the first 5 weekdays of the month, and at 10:30 every day for 5 days, we're going to wake up and we're going to have things that you need to do that day to create momentum in your business. We're going to do it for 5 straight days. And you're welcome to plug into that. If you go to our website, that makealife.com, BYE 2025, and Trey can drop it in the chat groups, you can sign up so that you'll get a notification of when those happen. But they'll be happening on Facebook and YouTube. And we're going to do that the first 5 days of May, and anybody's welcome to join us. And we're going to be talking about this quarter. These are the 6 things we're focusing on this year to equip you. We're going to talk about what are the right targets, which is goals. What are the right tactics, which are strategies, plans. What are the right tools, which are like three-way calls, incentives. What are the right tools that are available to you in the moment? How are you going to manage your time to do this? Which part of your team do you need to pull into this with you? And where are the holes in your team where you've got to find new people to join you? And then what do you do to make sure that you're operating at a high level of trust? And you really know what trust is, right? Trust is belief so high that you're willing to act on it. So we want to build and work on that too, okay? Our next event like this will be August 13th. And if you go to the site and just sign up for the best year ever, you're not obligated for anything. You're going to get a training and a video once a month, and you're going to find out about all the events. And we're going to keep you plugged in, keep you knowing everything you need to know. Okay. And I just want to thank you. I'm sorry I went over like 8 minutes. I didn't mean to. We were trying to be done by 8:30, but I apologize for going over. But thank you to Catherine, Skylar, and Jesse for sharing tonight. Be blessed. Love all you guys, and I'm just so excited we're on this journey together, and we've got the right leadership in place and the right product, and there's exciting new things happening. So it's time to create momentum. Have a great night.